Hey guys, you are tuned into the recording of For the Love of Millennials podcast. For the Love of Millennials was created to inspire and empower and uplift melanin-enriched millennials to live their best life. So what that means is every guest that we have on the show, they are here to share their it factor so that when you are listening and tuned in, you understand that if they can do it, you can do it too. And this vice versa for the guest. And your intention is, if I can do it, you can do it too. So today we have our first melanin millennial guest, Evana Rivera. She was born and raised in Texas and is the CEO of Against the Stigma Consulting Services. She is the youngest of 2 older sisters and a proud auntie of 5 beautiful young men. Now residing in the Raleigh-Durham area, Evana has faced many life difficulties and many life accomplishments. But owning her own company is one of the proudest moments. Understanding how business works, helping non-business owners go from ideas to LLCs and connecting people bilateral networking. She inspires to continue to grow her business and future endeavors. Her favorite quote is, "I can't be great if I don't teach someone else how to be great as well." So Evana, do you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself? I just read your formal bio, but I just want people to hear from you who you are and what you're doing.
So for me, I've been in the business industry for about 7 years now. I did it always for other people, and I never did it for myself or for people that look like me, because every time I'm in a boardroom meeting, I didn't see a lot of people that look like me. There wasn't a lot of women. There wasn't black women. There wasn't biracial women. There wasn't mixed women. There was nobody in the room that I could personally connect with. So over those 7 years, it kind of made me go into a box.
Right.
Now, granted, I was very knowledgeable of what I was doing, but it made me go into this box where I didn't feel comfortable because I couldn't go and be like, girl, I have the worst cramps today.
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody to discuss that
Right.
with in my space.
Right.
So the more I got comfortable with my job, the less I got comfortable with myself.
Okay.
So I tried to get out of that box and move up in the rankings within the company, but move somewhere else. When I did apply for it, they told me no. And I'm asking questions like, what about my merits? What about my accomplishments? What about all the money that I brought in for the company? That didn't matter. If you're not a male, if you're not of a certain color, if you're not of these things,
Right.
they were happy with
Right.
where I was.
Right.
So I wasn't happy where I was, so I moved on and started my own company. And that's when Against the Stigma came out, and I have a lot of business-minded people around me.
Okay.
And I think that's what works best for me, because in my network, I got some strong, great people, and they were the people that actually pushed me off the ledge to start the company. I started the company about a year ago, and it's been great. It's been on the up, and it's been very enlightening and encouraging to see people respond to me so greatly.
Okay, so where did Against the Stigma come from? Like, how did you come up with that name?
So Against the Stigma is because I've always been against everything. So I'm a woman in e-commerce and in tech. There's not a lot of black people in tech. There's not a lot of black women in tech. There's not a lot of women that can read coding and understand what it is, because to most people, it's a bunch of zeros, lines, and dots on a screen.
Right.
And to me, it's a story. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, da-da-da-da-da. So for me, I've always been very intelligent, but I've been in a room full of men. And it's always been like that. Mm-hmm. So not only did that where it start, but I'm also a felon. I will say that 10 times over. I have 9 felonies on my record. You can Google my name. I don't care. But from that, I know how to grow.
Absolutely.
I've had a lot of challenges and difficulties. I've been in jail. I've been in prison. I've done all those things.
Right.
And because of those things, I'm going against what everybody thinks.
Absolutely.
Everybody thinks because you're a felon, you cannot do A, B, and C things. That's not me. I know what I've been through, and I know what I can do.
Right.
And I know I've accomplished a lot. And if you want to talk about accolades, I got them on the wall. If you want to talk about backgrounds and being struggling, I've been through that.
Yeah.
Homeless, without sleeping in your car,
So you against
sleeping
all
on
the
the
stigmas.
streets. Like, I'm against all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm very successful. And it's not me being, hey, let me toot my own horn. It's more of, hey, look, you can't stay there forever in that mindset.
Absolutely.
When you hit rock bottom, like, it's cliche, but when you hit rock bottom, you learn how to dig and crawl and get to the top.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. By no means is it easy. But it's been very challenging to get there, but it's also been my greatest story. I want to educate other people how to do this. I want to educate people how to come up. I want to teach people how to go against the grain. You have to be a fish swimming the other way, or else you're never going to make it.
So did you have someone in place that was able to help you begin that push past the felonies and push past what people said you can't do?
No. I was by myself for a long time. I had a lot of personal issues. I had beauty issues. And then I had this guy that was very bad relationship. You know, women. We go through the worst of relationships even though we can be the greatest person.
Absolutely.
And when he left me, because he was a felon as well. So I started his tattoo business. I got him into a space. I bought a house for us and, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But the relationship went in the drain. So when the relationship went down and I started to realize, like, I don't have nothing. Like, he was my everything. I put everything into him. Why can't I put that in myself?
Absolutely.
So when I hit rock bottom, when I was homeless, when I didn't have anything to do, I basically was like, hey, look, I had a talk with myself. I told myself, and myself said, you got to get it together. You got to get it together fast. Like, this ain't where you need to be. This ain't right. So I abandoned myself, and I pushed back from everybody. And when I did that, I did a lot of building.
Right.
And then people just started to fall into place. Like LJ fell into place. And amazing woman fell into place. My mother fell into place. My sisters, like, everybody started to come back around.
Right.
But I couldn't be the person to them if I wasn't nobody to me.
Absolutely.
So it
definitely
took
starts with self.
Yeah, it took a lot.
So how important is self-talk, and do you still have self-talk to this
I
day?
talk to myself every day. I have full conversations in the car. I was talking to myself over here like, what am I going to say about me? What am I going to say about my life? I got to think about this. You know what? Today is going to be a beautiful day. I like, biggest on my Instagram, like, I know people always be like, you're always singing, you're always talking.
Yeah.
But it's my self-talk because
Absolutely.
I look at myself and be like, she look happy today. She looks proud today. Like, okay, I never put on makeup for somebody else.
Yeah.
I do it for me because it makes me happy.
Right.
Or what I wear, or what I think about, or the way I dress.
Absolutely.
And I write a lot. I am powerful. I am understanding. I am patient. I'm not patient. I have to tell myself I'm patient. Like, you have to tell yourself those things because most of the time I have no patience. But I keep writing it every day, and the more I write it and the more I see it and I write it and I put it on my board, it's in front of me every day I'm at my desk.
Yeah.
It becomes a real thing to you.
I'm here for that. So with everything that you just shared, what advice would you offer other melanin millennials about impacting the next generation and even each other, just with everything that you shared? Because it's so powerful, from self-talk to self-motivation, that intrinsic motivation that you push through so much. Because somebody would say, okay, I have all these felonies and I can't do anything else. I can't go beyond. So what advice do you have for others?
Never tell yourself no. Never tell yourself you can't, and read. That's the biggest thing I feel like my generation and everybody below us has done. We don't read enough. Everything you need is in a book. Everything I've literally learned is in a book. If you want to start with reading, I mean, there's so many great books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Oh my gosh, great book to read. Yeah. How to Make $1 Million. If you want to start with erotica and you want to start your own erotica book, read, and because it's been done. This ain't the first group of people that's been on the world.
Just follow the path, follow what's already laid out.
We're not the first group of people that's been on the world. So you have to realize that somebody's done it, somebody's been through it. And you can find a book on anything. If you want to find a book on the Scientology of life, like, you can find a book on anything. Right now, I'm reading The Study of the Eyes because you can tell how the body works from your eyes. That's why when you go to a doctor, they look in your eyes. They flash the light in your eyes. So your eyes tell a lot about how your body works, your mood, how happy you are, how sad you are. But for me, it's a study into how do I connect with somebody visually that I cannot connect with on the phone, that I cannot, if they're in Florida and I have to consult with them, how can I connect with them?
Absolutely.
So it's definitely, you have to learn a scope of things and apply it to your knowledge in your lane. I stay in my lane. I know what my lane is. I don't want to be a doctor, but I want to study how to connect with people through eyes. Because they do say it's the window to the soul.
I agree.
It's a real thing. So my biggest thing is read, self-teach yourself, knowledge. If I don't even care if it's a podcast. Listen to something while you're driving. We have to teach ourselves. Because high school didn't teach me nothing. College, I got the accolade, but it didn't teach me nothing but survival.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know survival. I need to know growth.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's so cool. And then studying the eyes, I teach people this all the time because I have people say, oh, I don't remember your name. They're like, Ashley, Amanda, like just something. And I'm like, look in my eyes. My name is Amber. And nobody ever forgets my name. So if you forget people's names, just look at them in their eyes and say their name. And you'll never forget. So I definitely believe like eyes are the window to the soul.
it really is.
So thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. I never met anybody who's like, oh, I'm just going to study this just because.
And you didn't know.
Yeah.
And I it's not that I'm reading every day. It's, okay, instead of watching Netflix, I did watch Bird Box. But instead of watching Netflix, I'm like, okay, let me do 30 minutes of reading.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I'll probably fall asleep. But I'll wake up and be like, oh, the best time to read is at night because you retain information when you go to sleep because you actually dream about what you read. So it's a lot
So y'all better read before you go to bed.
Read right before you go to bed.
The next morning.
Yes.
So I want to know, you did talk about your felonies. Were those the most difficult challenges you ever faced?
Actually, no.
So what was your most difficult challenge that you faced and how did you surmount that?
Getting out of a hole. I didn't realize, but I digged myself in a hole. So I took this shovel, and that shovel was a man. And I said, I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to pour everything into this man. So I'm digging this hole, right? But the area that I'm standing in, I'm falling, but I'm lifting him up, right? I'm digging, and I'm making a pile for him, and I'm making a foundation for him.
Yeah.
And I'm building this man up. I dug a hole for myself. Because you never put yourself into a man.
Yeah.
You find a partner and we meet each other at the same level.
Right.
I dug myself into this hole and then I had to realize that I put myself there. When you got to look at yourself and say, self, you wrong. Self, you got to fix yourself. Self, when you start looking at yourself and realizing that I put everything into a man and I built this man up and made him a successful man. And then he no longer wants you. And then I'm like, oh gosh, what did I do? Why? What happened? So I dug myself in this hole and then you have to crawl back out that hole. But I can't get it from the place that I just got. It's never going to be the same. If you put dirt back into a hole, it never looks the same. So I had to dig myself out, fill the hole back up, and then start building. Right. So it's always harder to go from negative back to stable and then start growth again. So I think that was the hardest thing for me to understand is that I put myself in a place and you have to blame yourself first and forgive yourself for growth.
Forgive yourself for growth. And have you fully forgiven yourself?
Yeah. At this point, I have.
Okay.
Like dating wise, you got to meet me at my level. And I stay in my lane. If my lane is this kind of guy and I know this is what I'm happy with, anybody who comes up and says that I cannot provide that for you, all right, well, we can be cool. Let's bump fists and keep it moving. Because I don't got time and I don't want to waste your time. Yeah. So I'm very upfront and I'm very forward about everything that I am.
Yeah.
I go ahead and lay it on the table from the first date. I say, hey, I don't got this, I don't got this, I don't got this. You got to have this, you got to have this, you got to have this. And if we good, then let's work on it.
Yeah.
If not, then let's part ways. That steak was good,
That's
bro.
mature.
Have a good night.
Okay.
We can split the bill.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So right now, what projects are you working on? A lot. I know you're working on a lot.
So much. So I have an event space in Durham that I've partnered with one of my partners, and we're building that. We're getting people in-house. We're trying to host events there. We're doing speed dating events. We're doing workshops. You were there.
Yes.
We try to get everybody
Yeah.
in. So we do a lot for the event space. I'm merging my business with 3 other businesses so we can become an S Corp umbrella.
Okay.
Because me and these 3 other women all have the same kind of business, but we would be more powerful together.
That's beautiful.
So I'm sitting with a couple of women to merge my business with theirs so we can eventually become an S Corp and take over the world.
Oh.
And then I'm opening other small businesses, just other people that I'm helping, my clients. There's a multimedia company that's going to Atlanta. They're expanding to Atlanta. I have a clothing company in Florida that I'm helping expand and grow, and he's going to New York for fashion shows. I mean, there's so much. You just gotta.
So you just living your best life.
It ain't best yet. I'm living my good life. I'm comfortable.
We growing there?
Yeah, but we getting there.
Okay.
Now, when
so
I
are you
do
catching
the-
flights now?
A couple. I ain't trying to
I
be
saw you were in
flued
Mexico,
out.
you know.
Yeah. Well, that was my birthday. I do 2 trips every year. I do a trip in the summer with my family because they don't really travel. They never traveled until Evana came around. I've encouraged them to get passports.
Yeah.
So 1 trip in the summer, we take all our family, which is a lot of people. And then I do a trip for my birthday every year because for the last 3 years, I want to see the world.
Absolutely.
So I've done Dominican Republic and Mexico and Puerto Rico, and it's been great.
I love that. So before we end, I just want to know, what last words do you have for our listeners and people who are tuned in?
Focus on yourself. You have to grow within yourself before you can put that into anybody. People always put it into somebody else first, and that's not the way to go. Definitely grow within yourself. Become your best you, whoever that is.
Yeah.
If that's a grinder, if that's a rapper, if that's a mom, become and perfect your craft and then spread out. Most of the time we spread ourselves too thin, and when you spread yourself thin like this, everybody gets a little piece. And that's not good.
Yeah.
If you want to give somebody everything, grow in one area first and throw the seeds out. So that's the way my mentality works, is I grow and I focus in my craft. I perfect my craft, but I throw seeds out every here and there.
Yeah.
But I still got to stay right here. I'll water over there a little bit, I'll water over there a little bit, but I got to perfect my craft before I can start to grow wide. So, yeah, perfect your craft. And
perfect your craft. So how can people stay in touch with you?
So I am on Instagram, against the stigma CS. Let me fix that. Against the stigma CS. On Instagram, and then if you just search Evana Rivera, I'll come up. You'll find me somewhere. I'm on Facebook, Evana Rivera. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. And then
I just got on Twitter.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm not too happy.
I'm an old millennial. It's cool.
Yeah, it's okay.
And your website, what's your website? So if people have a business and they want to hire you, what is your website? And
www.againstthestigmacs.com.
www.againstthestigmacs.com. Don't forget the CS. Service. That's what it means. I was going to ask what the CS was for, but got it, face to face. But guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to our episode of For the Love of Millennials. Stay connected with us on Instagram @For the Love of Millennials.